welcome to the podcast. Today we've got Rich Wilby. Rich, welcome.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. So if we talk a little bit, so if we get a bit of an intro from you first. So for those people that don't know you, who are you? What do you do? I know you have some lakes. Talk us a bit about that, if you could, please.
I've worked in the fishery industry now for since about 2003. I studied at Sparsholt College, and actually, my first job was a journalist at Angling Times. I was a very keen carp angler, always sending my pictures into magazines, and I was lucky to catch a few nice fish, and that's kind of where it all started in my own angling world. But my kind of dream became reality to create my own fishery in about 2010. And I have a fishery called Airfield Lakes in South Norfolk. That's 2 lakes, and they're kind of run on a holiday basis where small groups of anglers can book them for the week and have a lovely week with their friends on their sort of own private lake. And a few years ago, I added a couple of syndicate lakes, they're about 20 minutes away from me. So I manage 2 syndicate lakes as well now. So 4 lakes. That's kind of my proper job.
Right. Okay. Can you tell us a bit about the stock of the lakes?
Yeah. So the Spitfire Pool's a really old pond that I've kind of looked after since I was a kid. It's been in the family, and low stock, a handful of fish. I think there's about 16, but you've got 2 very big commons which have become quite iconic, quite popular. You've got a common called the Wood Common, which is a 50-pound fish, and a big long common, which is an upper 40. And although they're not monstrous in today's fishing world, they're old leady strain fish, so they're incredibly rare, and a lot of the sort of best of the best anglers have come or want to come and catch them. So yeah, I suppose those 2 fish put me on the map. Mustang Lake is more of a modern day commercial carp fishery, 5 acres, 150 fish, 100 of them over 30 pound, probably a dozen 40 pounders, all young fish. So they're very different. And I like them both. And so yeah, that's kind of my holiday venues. My syndicate lakes are very different. You've got an old estate lake, which is like Norfolk's Redmar Pool, and you've got a gravel pit next to that, which used to be a trout lake. And we've got about 80 carp in each of those, and 40 members. And really lucky. I've got some lovely members on there, which I couldn't run the place without, to be honest.
Brilliant. Yeah, it makes such a difference, doesn't it,
Definitely.
on the syndicate to have that group of people. So the 2, so Spitfire and Mustang, I take it there's, judging by the stock you've just mentioned, I take there's quite a long waiting list to get on those.
Yeah, on my Airfield Lakes, yeah, it's what kind of happens is the groups who I have kind of come each year. So there's not like a massive waiting list, but it's hard for a new group to get on there. And obviously I look after my regulars, they look after me. So they kind of keep their week, and I see them each year. So that's kind of how it is. But yeah, there's always new weeks. There's always a few new groups come on every year, which is nice, to be honest. So yeah, we have a list, and a lucky few get on every year.
Yeah, and like you say, I'd imagine once they're on for the next few years, I'd imagine.
Usually it's like that. But the odd group, like 1 year, they'll just, they want to go abroad, and they can't do both. But it's a lot of them do look forward to it every year, the banter, and there's always a story at the end of the week. So and I like to see them every year. Obviously, this spring's it's quite sad, actually. I'm walking around empty lakes, and it is a bit overwhelming. But hopefully, we'll be back up and running. At least by the summer.
No, definitely, it is strange times. How has that affected? Obviously, you are you having to sort of supplement the feed?
Yeah, well, I definitely am for the first sort of time, especially in the spring months. I always feed them in the summer. I do shut around the spawning time for a good 6 weeks.
Mhm.
So I do feed them that time. But yeah, it's weird. It's still quite cold here in Norfolk. So at the moment, I'm not feeding. I know.
Mm.
I know that they don't really need anything, but in the next week or two, it's going to warm up, and yeah, I'm going to have to go out and feed them. And I mean, the fish are going to probably enjoy it. I'm going to have
Yeah,
to ration the food a bit because I've not got tons and tons to spare, but they'll be fine. They're going to thrive on not getting fished for. Let's face it, like lakes up and down the country. But yeah, it's
yeah.
just strange times. I never, you can't prepare for this, and financially,
No,
I worry.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for everyone, and I'm just trying to stay positive. I think that's
Yeah.
all we can do, really.
No, definitely. I think that is so key. I mean, I see so many people. Obviously, I'm in the heating industry, and I see so much doom and gloom post
Yeah,
amongst sort of fellow trades. And I just think you can't go down that route. You've got the
no,
obviously, it's a shitty time for everyone. That's a given. But there will be positives
yeah.
that come from it. It's just putting a spin on it. Like you say, you've got
You've
to
got
remain positive.
Yeah, you've got to. I've spoke to so many anglers and other fishery organisations and fishery owners, and
Yeah.
and obviously it's come at a really bad time for fishing.
Mm.
Selfishly for us lot, it's come at the just as the main season's going to start. So I suppose that's why it's uh, probably harder to accept. But it's the fishing can wait, and I keep thinking we'll come out of this stronger. And I've been I've been down about it, and I think I still do get upset about it, but. Yeah, I'm trying to stay positive and look after my family and my lakes and keep
Yeah.
busy. I think you've got to keep busy, which I know is tricky when you're stuck at home.
No, definitely. How have you been coping at home, like sort of being stuck in?
Uh,
I suppose catching up on paperwork and doing all that side
Yeah,
of things.
I've to be honest, because I fished pretty hard this winter. I'm
Mm.
not a I don't do a lot of time, but I pop out. Well, that's a lie. I pop out most afternoons, or probably 3 times a week for a little bit of fishing. I might do one day a week in the winter, which would probably be pike fishing, and a lot of my other fishing throughout the year is short trips, but when the river season finished, I was looking forward. This sounds ironic. I was actually looking forward to a couple of weeks of just having a break, sorting out my kit, getting the lake. I had loads of work to do in the lake, so
Yeah,
yeah. I obviously that break is now going to turn into months probably, but. Yeah, I've got lots to do. Everything's growing. I've got lots of pruning and grass cutting, loads of paperwork. So yeah,
mm,
I'm keeping busy, but I suppose I'm trying to pace myself because I know I've got to keep things going for a while. I don't want to do everything in a week and then have nothing to do.
yeah,
So uh,
yeah,
yeah, that's
absolutely.
where I'm at.
Yeah, your angling, it's very diverse, I've noticed from your Instagram posts.
Yeah,
So you sort of fish for everything, is that right?
yeah. I always have fished for everything. I've always loved every species, and stickleback, gudgeon. But I guess in the 90s when I was a teenager, the carp fishing bug, obviously the carp fishing, it boomed. I was in the right place at the right time. So my head did get stuck into carp. I always pike fished a bit in the winter and a bit of chub fishing maybe. But yeah, I was a an out and out carp angler. Uh, Definitely through the sort of
Mm.
90s into the early sort of millennium, and that's kind of it paid off because that's kind of where the work was, and it did create it opened doors and did create me jobs in the fishing industry. I ended up being a sort of carp reporter for Angling Times, and I worked my way up there for a few years, and then I ended up working for Kevin Nash as his sort of media manager there, and uh, yeah, then my own fishery business kind of I created that all about carp again. I think. a few years ago. Where I think I love carp. That they're probably my favourite species. I breed them, I rear them, I look after them. But when you run your own carp lakes, you see a lot of carp getting caught. Uh, they do become a little bit less special in your own angling. And though this sounds a bit corny, I like seeing other people catch them. That kind of gives me a little bit of the buzz I used to get from myself. So yeah, so I did lose the buzz for carp a bit because I was dealing with carp anglers, talking carp, seeing carp, I suppose, daily, and they did become a little bit less special. And what what happened was I kind of stopped fishing. I was too busy, and the buzz had gone a little bit for carp. So what happened was other specimens. I just started thinking, start going for other things. I used to love going for roach and chub and perch, and so yeah, that's the last few years. I've become probably a quite well known specimen angler. My carp contacts have helped me no end because a lot of specimen fish reside in carp lakes. So. And a lot of carp anglers don't want to catch them. So yeah, that's really helped. And yeah, I've got my head really into the specimen game, and yeah, I just love it. I love that each month and each season there's a new challenge, and a dace in January, a big pike in February, roach
Yeah,
in March, and so on. So yeah, you definitely don't get bored when you're an all-rounder, and
no.
sometimes you can't fish for everything. To be honest, they're especially the back end of the season, everything's big, and you want to be, but it's yeah, it's fantastic.
Some of those pike, on that note, that I saw you upload to Instagram. Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm lucky again. The the pike fishing in Norfolk is nowhere near what it used to be, and
Mm.
maybe I'm guilty of making it look a little bit better than it is. But it's not because I'm brilliant. It's because I kind of know where to go. A lot of homework, friends, and we share information and try and pick the right day to go on as well. When I know the pike will probably be feeding. So yeah, I'm lucky. I mean, a beautiful wild Norfolk pike. Uh,
Yeah.
everyone's special. So yeah, I really enjoyed a few days at the end of the season.
Oh, I don't know if it just cut out again then.
Yeah, I saw that just for a second.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
back.
The head, I think I saw you post one, had the biggest head. Um, was that from the river?
Yeah, that was a river fish. So that was a proper Norfolk, Broadland, bream eating, coot eating head. That fish was probably past its best, to be honest. It was
Yeah.
a 20-pounder, but maybe in its heyday it would have been closer to 30 pound. But yeah, massive head. When you see that come up, that gets the old knees shaking. So yeah, brilliant stuff.
And how did you catch that one? Was that on a live with dead bait or spinning or?
That one was just on a dead bait, but actually kind of moving under a float. When I mean moving, I mean kind of wobbled and twitched.
Right.
So yeah, not static. When I'm sometimes I'm not the most patient angler, so I like to sort of move my baits a lot,
Yeah.
and sometimes it works, and it worked on that occasion.
Is that from a boat or are you doing it all from the
That was
bank?
that was from a boat. That spot, yeah, that was from a boat. You probably could almost bank fish where I caught it though. It was an interesting spot. It was quite nice. It was almost it was a spot we knew could produce a good fish as well. So
Hmm.
when your feelings, are proved right and your instincts, it was a really good moment.
Yeah. I I'd imagine you've got quite a decent PB list with various species.
Yeah.
How about talking us through that a bit?
Oh, yeah, I've had, yeah, well, it's a hard one. Carp up 48,
Yeah.
common 45 mirror. I've never had a 30-pound pike. That's a dream. I've had two 28s.
Right.
Perch. I've never had a 4-pound perch. That's my bogey
Yeah.
species. Lots of freeze.
Yeah.
I haven't been on the right venue at the right time. I don't feel,
Mm.
but yeah, rudd. I think is 3.6. Roach is 3.3. Eel
Yeah.
6.9. Probably one of my proudest. Tench
Right.
11.11. 16 pound 15 ounce bream. 2 days I've had over £1, which again probably one of the best things I've caught.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, some good PBs there, but lots of not so much time, but lots of effort in tracking them
Mm.
down.
Yeah.
I had a £3 grayling this year as well, Scotland.
Wow.
So
Oh,
that
wow.
was again tracking it down. That was a real nice. It was an amazing fish, over 50 centimeters. Half a meter, just
Oh,
incredible on the centre pin. So,
yeah.
yeah, that was
Oh,
awesome.
amazing. I suppose as well, because you're going for so many sort of different, I'm sort of using air quotes there, species, the information isn't as
Yeah.
readily available compared to the carp scene.
What do you mean? What information?
Well, so obviously, typically you could go on the internet
Yeah.
and find
Yes.
a
Yeah.
lake and then
Yeah.
know pretty
Yeah.
much the
Yeah.
stocking level within minutes. How
Yeah.
does that
It's just
vary for,
like how
say,
it
a big
used to.
dace?
It's just like how it used to be though for carp
Yeah.
fishing when everything was kept uh, kind of quiet, before internet, before anything like that. It's I spend a fair bit of time reading old books that were written in the 70s and 80s, especially
Oh,
for my river fishing, because information was shared, and I speak to a lot of old match anglers, and yeah, so it's a lot of detective work. I do look at photos when someone will post a photo up, and
mhm.
I have kind of found venues from backgrounds in pictures. I'm not going to lie. So I have done the sneaky thing like that, but I'd never jump on anyone's toes.
Mm.
That's not me. I always want to. I like to try and find fish and catch fish on my own terms. I'm not really a circuit water angler. I never was, even when I was chasing big carp across the country. Wanted to. I was always happier fishing the rivers and the big pits, the ones that not because I wanted to be cool, just I just wanted to try and find my own thing. And I think specimen fishing's uh, it's like that for me, to be honest. You know,
Yeah.
I went to a well-known specimen tench venue last spring, and it was packed out,
Mm.
I kind of said to myself, no, not again. I've got to go and find my own big tench, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how I like to do it.
Yeah. I'd imagine you've got so many different setups as well of kit that you probably accumulated for these
Yeah,
different species.
yeah, it's crazy. The kit. Every night you can get some rods and sabs that cross over. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying now use the same rod for like chub, tench, barbel. Like basically it's like a barbel rod, and that
Mhm.
suits. But yeah, when you're talking roach, you need specialist rods really. £1 sort
Yeah.
of test curve for ledgering, and then dace you need a light, ultralight float rod. Grayling you need a stepped up 14-foot float rod, and so on. And yeah,
Yeah.
I have accumulated a lot of tackle. Yeah, definitely. Not all the top end stuff, just stuff that I know will do the job.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, lots of tackle, and yeah, trying to. I'm not the most organised. That's a bit of my weak area, my angling.
Mhm.
You look at someone like Martin Bowler, who again, when the conditions are right for a certain species, it looks like he's got his kit ready and he just chucks it in a car and goes. I know it's not quite that simple, but
Yeah.
that's how you do need to split your gear down for each species, ideally. So you can sort of stay organized, especially for the short sort of trips I do. Uh, but yeah, I'm getting there, getting there.
Yeah. Where did it all start? Where did it come from? Were you just self-taught, or did you have almost like a
Yeah.
mentor,
No,
as you was growing up?
I am self-taught, and that's not I'm not that's not a sort of brag, but I am. I grew up. I would get dropped off at little local ponds with my brother or friends when I was really young. We just loved, we'd have a net, a bucket, a little rod, and so yeah, I just had that instinct that I wanted to always see what was in a stream, a little pond, and I wanted to catch it and look at it and put it back. And yeah, dropped off down the river, catching perch and dace and chub on my own. Yeah, I started match fishing a little bit just because I joined the club and there was junior matches. Uh,
Yeah.
so I learnt a bit watching some of the older juniors, and I sort of eventually I won a couple of big matches. Probably when I was about 14, and then yeah, the carp bug kind of got hold of me. I wanted to be out camping with my mates, and carp fishing. Well, what you can romanticize about it, but it was very different then. It was yeah, but yeah, I've just always had that kind of natural interest. What's under the water, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just appreciate. I just love getting a gudgeon in my hand. It makes my day just looking at it, and So yeah, I'm kind of.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm. Yeah, that's why I've kind of gone into, I suppose, catching some of these mini species. And to be fair, a lot of the waters that they're in, like your roach and your rudd, and they're not busy because they're not carp. They're not as popular. So
Mm.
uh, I do enjoy the quieter banks like most people.
Yeah. And what about family, children? Have you got kids? Do they fish?
Yes, I've got a 11-year-old George and an 8-year-old Ella, and I don't know if they fish. They've fished. Obviously, I've made them fish, and they love camping. They love. We're going to have to camp out in the garden soon, and they love
Yeah.
camping. So they're great to take with me most of the time. But I don't think they have that natural hunting instinct. I worry about the whole sort of that side of angling, the future of it. But saying
Mm.
that, I think a lot of it's a different world, and I did tuitions for a few years, and I had quite a lot of people. They had busy jobs and they were looking for a hobby, and I think a lot of them played golf and some took up fishing. So I think people come into it later now, so they might miss
Right.
out. Like people my generation, they might miss out messing around in ponds with their friends. But I think fishing will be fine. But yeah, the children, it's hard to drag them outside now, isn't it? With all the entertainment they have,
Yeah.
at their fingertips.
Yeah. It's definitely a different time. I mean, it's good to
Yeah.
see the various, like horseshoe, junior fishing. That looks like a really
Yes.
popular event.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
like that. But
I
yeah, like you
think.
say, you're sort
Yeah.
of almost
It's
fighting against. Go on.
yeah. You've got. There's loads more competition, isn't there? There's so much for them to do now. So uh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tricky one, and but I just think a lot of people will come into fishing a bit later, maybe because it's I think once people. I've seen people come to my lake and they've only been doing it a few years and they've just fallen in love with it.
Yeah.
They kind of you can tell they wonder why they never found it earlier, but they found it a bit later in life, and they absolutely love it, and
Yeah.
it's they're out with their friends in the wild having a barbecue and a cold beer. I mean, if you don't like that, then I don't know. It's it's not all about catching them, is it?
No, absolutely not. So true. I mean, that's what I love. I mention it all the time, but having my camera there, sort of on the bed chair or in my
Yeah,
bag somewhere, ready to go with the lens cap off,
yeah,
you just
yeah,
get so
yeah.
because nature
It's
almost comes to you, doesn't it?
yeah, the atmosphere and everything, and you can't buy that. That's the whole thing. It's I think it's the fishing itself can become addictive, but just getting away from the reality, I think, is probably why carp fishing is so popular, because people, I'm happy going fishing for an hour, but you know I think when people can leave off work on a Friday and head to the lake and just escape everything for 24 hours or longer, then it's just
Mm.
that is blissful time, isn't it? So I'm
Yeah,
sure that's why that carp fishing is one reason it's become so popular, because life has become so much busier. The real world has.
yeah. It's getting sort of increasingly harder to be able to switch off from it all, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, brilliant. I've got we're doing a feature. I sort of mentioned to you off mic, like a rotary style letter. So I've got a question from our previous guest,
Yeah.
which was Joe Turnbull. So he
Okay.
didn't know that you were the next guest.
Okay.
So, and his question is: if you could change one thing in the angling world, what would it be?
What would it be? I just lost you there for a second.
Yeah. Do you want me to repeat the
Yeah,
question?
yeah, I lost you right at the end of the
Yeah.
question.
So if you could change one thing in the angling world, what would it be?
Why do I keep losing you?
I don't know. Let me hit pause again. One sec.
It's right as you start reading the question, it just getting
Do you want to
glitched
read
up.
it? I'll try third time lucky. It was if you could change one thing in the angling world, what would it be?
Okay, all right. What would I change in Ang World?
Yeah.
I would, in this kind of age of social media and everything, and I think what we're going through at this time, I would love everyone to just be respectful and nice to each other. I know that's incredibly cliche, but I would like anglers, match carp anglers, specimen anglers, to just respect and get along with each other. We all love the same thing. We've all got the same passion, and yeah, we chase different dreams. We go for different reasons, but yeah, just be nice to each, and everyone. The jealousy, I've had some of it in the last couple of years, and it's a downer because I'm not catching my big fish to impress anyone. I'm catching them because I want to catch them, and it's a tricky one. But I just wish everyone would be respectful and nice to each other, I guess, and no jealousy. It's the worst thing, I suppose, that's always been in the sport, but I think it's a little bit more a little bit more of it nowadays because obviously social media.
That's a great answer, Rich. So leading on from that, what's your question to our next guest? Obviously, who you don't know that will be yet.
Okay. My question is, what is the biggest mistake you've made in your angling?
Nice. I like that one. That could be quite a interesting answer.
We've all made plenty, haven't we? So yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just to finish, and obviously we had a bit of a mare with the sound and I think it was just the internet cutting in and out. One last thing I'm asking every guest to do is to do a 60-second sketch of a carp, take a picture, do a video, and then send it to me because I'm doing like a mini competition.
Right.
Is that something you can do?
60 seconds. I've got to draw one in 60 seconds.
Yeah, so just sketch one in 60 seconds. If you can get someone to video you doing it with the timer, and then at the end, take a picture, so I don't know who it's from because it's going to be anonymous.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to do like A versus B, B goes through, blah, blah, blah.
I'll make a note of that.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Brilliant. Right, well, we finally got this recorded, so obviously I've got a bit of editing ahead with all the cutting out. But yeah, it's brilliant.
Well done,
Rich Wilby,
mate.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Take care.